Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. In a rare display of opposition unity, Trinamool Congress today joined the Congress-led opposition strategy meeting in Parliament. We saw Mamata Banerjee and Jawhar Sircar attending this meeting. Trinamool Congress leaders also joined the Black protest, which was held by the Congress and the other opposition parties, protesting against Rahul's disqualification as an MP. So the question we are asking, is this a major shift by Mamata Banerjee's party? Because initially it maintained that it will maintain rather an equidistance from both BJP and the Congress. I'm joined by Jawhar Sircar himself, who is a Rajya Sabha MP from Trinamool Congress and who has also been appointed as a national spokesperson of the party. So good to have you, Mr. Sircar, on the Federal. So my first question to you is that this looks like a rare opposition unity. We didn't see for all these months Trinamool Congress joining Congress. But all of a sudden, why did Trinamool decide to join Khargeji's meeting today?
No, it's not all of a sudden. They have been in continuous consultations right from day one. And they have been in continuous consultations from day one. And today, we decided officially to go to the meeting. And because right from day one, we have been leading the protest. We may not have joined the Congress in the technical sense of the term. We are in continuous talk. We are walking out together. We are protesting together. In fact, we started the black band agitation before them. So they're not very surprising. And you must understand this context change. Immediately before the parliament started, there were the by-elections in Bengal, where there were reasons to believe that the Congress and the left had come together, but that's okay, and that happens in politics, but come together to help the BJP. That was considered unpardonable by the Trinamool, that at the national level you ask us to join, but at the state level for a by-election, you can go ahead and do this.
So, but Mr. Sircar, so this coming together of Trinamool with the Congress, is it just on Rahul's disqualification issue, or is it going to be on other issues as well?
You see, first of all, you have to understand this is the coming together of opposition parties. Coming together of opposition parties. It's not a question of A signing up with B.
But Trinamool wasn't seen by Congress's side. So that is why I'm saying it looks like a rare occasion today.
You see, Trinamool came out of the Congress. That also you have to understand. So they understand the Congress much better than those who have not come out of the Congress. So they have their own relationship with them. But here, the fact is that in Bengal, they are adversaries. Just as the TRS is an adversary of the Congress in Telangana, you have to understand the local realities also and not jump to conclusions that this is not on. So there are local compulsions that the Congress understands full well. And where this issue is concerned, we were one of the loudest to be shouting on the pointing out to the Adani issue, if you have followed it from the day of Hindenburg. We were one of the first ones to be talking about it morning, evening, and night. Okay, it's snowballed into a major issue, and others have also joined. People who had doubts have also joined. We are glad. So we'll put it that way, that the physicality of joining them for a march is a different issue altogether. That would require certain...
But Mr. Sircar, do you believe that on Rahul's disqualification issue, none of the opposition parties now can afford to rather stay away from Congress? They will have to join because it's a compulsion. It's a moment where opposition parties cannot help but join Congress on this issue. Do you believe so?
We believe that it is a high-level assault on democratic freedoms. It's one of the highest level assault on democratic freedoms. But the way things are going on, you ain't seen everything yet. You ain't seen everything yet. at this moment, it is one of the highest level assaults on democratic freedoms, and it is only sensible that everyone gets together.
Right. So, Mr. Sarkar, this verdict which was handed out, the sentence of 2 years, then comes the disqualification. Do you really do you believe that there are strong reasons to suspect government's intentions?
Yes, of course, from one. And we have been one of the strongest victims of the BJP government and the BJP's rule, one of the strongest victims. In fact, we have been victimized specifically by the BJP, as very few parties have been. Our funds are stopped now for over a year. Now, there aren't many opposition parties who can say that they were victimized to that extent. So we know the misuse of power, the misuse of administrative power, executive power, the ED, the CBI, and the mysterious silence of the same ED when the huge scam of the Adani variety takes place. I mean, everything is possible. We have seen how their judiciary functions.
Right. Right. So, Mr. Sarkar, when it comes to Trinamool, there wasn't too much of clarity. Now, can I ask you very bluntly that what are the issues on which you are siding or supporting Congress? It's Adani, it's misuse of agencies, it's Rahul's disqualification. What are those issues if you have to list them out as A, B, or C?
Let things roll along. Let things roll along. There are minimal issues, as we know. Our primary opposition to the Narendra Modi government remains unshakable. That's one common point. We have never shaken off from this. There are issues of the misuse of ED. When the ED is misused on A, B, and C, A, B, and C have protested individually. That's the whole case. Now we find that since A to Z have all been attacked, it's time for A to Z to get together.
No, but then the question arises that if in all these months you were protesting separately, what has been that trigger factor which really forced you to now come along with Congress? Do you realize that probably the Congress will be the main principal opposition party, which will form an umbrella and without which the existence of other political parties is not possible? Because I still remember Mamata Banerjee did say a few weeks back that for 2024, we'll go it alone. She's not going to ally with any party. Now, this coming together, how does one see it?
I think it's not the time for too much speculation and stargazing. Everyone in politics has his own calculations. Every political party does its calculations all along. Where the Trinamool's base is concerned, its main base of Bengal is concerned, it has a firm opinion that this and thus further. So it will depend on how much it feels threatened by others. That's it. So the Congress had joined the threat. That was something that it was difficult to stomach. That you want us to be there, but why are you joining the threat now?
Right. So
understandings keep evolving. It's a bit of old touch and old humanity. They keep evolving, and the background dangers act as catalysts.
Right.
They act as catalysts.
Do you believe that this, I mean, the coming together of TMC and Congress on this day is some kind of a positive beginning which both parties have made today?
I think it's very positive in the sense that it's been a positive step and it's been well calculated. I don't take decisions of that level. Obviously, there have been discussions between those who run the parties. So there have been discussions and there must have been satisfactory discussions.
Right. So since you're saying that this understanding evolves, so am I to assume that probably this is the first step, and as it evolves further, it could be a greater political understanding for 2024? Are you looking at that as well?
Yes, the political parties exist for the capacities to galvanize the people towards their aim. They don't exist as charitable organizations So they are in the business of politics for expanding and consolidating their bases. So as long as something comes in of utility to them or is not a threat to them, they'll go along.
Right.
And of course, there's the bigger national interest that no one forgets.
Right.
So the nation is now being monopolized by people who didn't even hold the flag, ever, who had condemned the flag.
Right.
So with the nation being hijacked by people who had run down the nation, it's time for those who loved the nation, who have a heritage of being associated with the freedom struggle, to get together.
But Mr. Sarkar, in all these months, people were saying that, whether at all opposition unity is possible or it's not possible, because Trinamool was seen at a tangent. When it came to about 14 or 15 parties, they came together, they joined Congress, but Trinamool, BRS and Aam Aadmi Party, they looked on in different directions. Now they seem to be converging, at least on Rahul's disqualification. So how do you see the opposition unity evolving, that now there are strong reasons that opposition has to come together? Or is this some kind of a realization within the opposition parties that they cannot survive without coming together at all?
I would not know whether it's that extreme. As I said, it is all a question of adjustment. The DMK and the Congress have evolved an understanding over several elections. So even in areas where a competition that is doused and cooperation comes in, it's not a very easy thing, because in politics, even if you decide to cooperate on a particular seat, your cadre may not be very happy with you. So these are decisions you have to understand are not cut and dried.
So how would the things unfold in within West Bengal? You see Congress as your adversary, and probably the two parties will not see eye to eye. We all know the kind of rivalry which Mamata Banerjee has with Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. And last month, when the by-elections TMC lost, then they said that there's some kind of an immoral alliance which Congress and left have. So in this particular backdrop, do you see Trinamool being part of a larger national alliance for 2024? Because those acrimonies still exist.
Politics, differences and acrimonies are as much part of the whole syndrome as, let us say, friendly contests and deep competitions. They all go on together. I mean, there is no final word in politics. The final word is whether I am able to protect my turf and whether I am able to represent my people in a better manner. Parties have come and parties have disappeared. So that it will all depend on whether the whole thing works out the way we plan it to be.
So how do we see today's meeting? Is it like a solidarity on Rahul's disqualification issue? Is it some kind of a symbolism, or we see as some kind of a long-standing partnership towards 2024? How does one read that?
See, number one, it is a sign of opposition unity. It is a sign of opposition unity. So that
you say the media should not headline it as TMC supporting Congress on Rahul's disqualification. Would that be a wrong headline?
No, I would put it like this. Let us differentiate between the issue and the incident. The issue here is, wider issue is of opposition working together. The current provocative incident is Rahul's arrest or Rahul's disqualification.
Right.
That is it. It's patently unfair. It's patently unfair. So no one in his senses would even think of it, excepting blind bucks. That one sweep, a defamation of such lasting consequences that the entire community, I mean, that sort of thing, the entire thing is a stretch of imagination used with the local judiciary that is known to be difficult at times. That's all. And the punishment is exactly that attracts disqualification. Not 1 inch less. It's, remember, partial judgment. Not 1 drop more, not 1 drop less. It's so artificial. It's so fake. But the whole thing about this man is fake. Everything about him is fake. And that is something on which we are united. I mean, in fact, we lead others. As I say that when you talk of opposition unity, look around India and show one party that has gone through the amount of heckling and arrest and the Prime Minister of India and the Home Minister of India spent 42 visits. 42 visits. They haven't made 42 visits to Delhi. I mean, so 42 visits, one seat. But remember, all this, it's still there.
Mr. Sircar, are you worried as an opposition party that what has happened to Rahul might happen to any other opposition party now?
That has happened before, and that will happen hereinafter. The question is...
No, but this kind of an instant disqualification. I'm talking about an instant disqualification. The court verdict comes, and then comes the disqualification.
It actually indicates the degree, the depth to which they can sink at the cost of a minute. That is something, because, politics is a play out, as I say. Everything plays out. You need that time for marination. You need a time for rumination. And then you need a time for each to think out the other. They were absolutely...
Why do you think BJP was so insecure of Rahul Gandhi? What was the reason? Was he vociferously raising the Adani issue inside the house? Was that the reason?
No. It's not. Let's not take it that way. The major issue was the revelation on Adani. Now, you must remember, two things are common. A phenomenal rise of Narendra Modi from 2014 and even preceding, and B, the more phenomenal rise of Adani. The two are not disconnected thoughts, and the two are not, the two are linked in more ways than has ever happened before in Indian politics.
But Mr.
I asked one question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Then
question. The question is that all the amount of shady international dealings that everyone is talking about, and numbers and figures and addresses and firms been given, the question is, whose money went out of India and whose money came back?
No, but Trinamool Congress, Mr. Sircar, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Trinamool Congress never wanted a JPC. You insisted on a Supreme Court monitored probe. So now that you're supporting Congress on Rahul's disqualification, you are saying that there are other bigger issues like Adani. So will you change your stand? You will say now that you are in for a JPC? Are you supporting a JPC, the demand for a JPC?
We have said all along that a judicial monitored inquiry is proposed to be a fairer way. I'll tell you why. Tell me which JPC...
But you were not in support of a JPC probe ever.
You tell me which JPC succeeded. Which JPC succeeded? Bofors, Harshad Mehta, which one succeeded? JPCs are tilted in favor of the majority party, and it has been a bitter experience from which we have been suggesting that instead of a JPC, go in for a judicially monitored probe. Now,
no, but sir, Adani's case, with all the respect to what you're saying, in Adani's case, do you think that this SC monitored probe, which is going to happen, can look into the larger issues of how those shell companies have functioned? Because people are saying that the remit of this committee is very, very limited. And in this kind of a limited mandate, do you think that probe will be fair?
Again, the committee you are talking about and the committee we want are two different things. This committee is only to get into the existing procedures of SEBI, to see whether they were good enough to control this menace. That's all. It's got a very limited remit.
Are you contented with the SC monitored committee which has been announced?
No, we are asking for an SC monitored committee, a part of which is being dealt with in the present circumstance. Please try to understand
you're still not happy and contented with the way that
we would be happier if what we are saying is taken into account. Number one, that no JPC has succeeded so far. It's all right going and getting a JPC, But then with the majority in their hands, that a party that has shown to be so reckless about democracy, it may go even worse than the other JPCs. So number one.
Mr. Sarkar, as a political journalist, I mean, from what you're saying, and I'm trying to just gather, this would look like a very diluted stand which Trinamool Congress is taking on Adani. Wouldn't one read like that? You're saying that you're partially contented. You're saying you're partially contented with the present inquiry, which is being done by the Supreme Court, but you're still saying that JPC is not required because it will not reach its conclusions, the required conclusions.
That a judicial inquiry is better than a JPC. That's all. We have said our stand to today is that a judicial inquiry would be better and more effective because the JPC would be decided by government. Whereas in judicial inquiry, there's still a chance.
No, but why are you not putting then in clear terms that what kind of a judicial inquiry you are wanting? It's not grabbing the headlines. The manner in which Trinamool is saying that it wants a judicial inquiry, people are just saying that Trinamool Congress is not supporting a JPC probe. They're still wanting a court-monitored probe, which again, then the stand doesn't become very clear.
It has been stated out. What comes out is a different issue. But thanks for the suggestion that we need amplification. Clarification and amplification. That's all right. I understand your point.
Right. But and also we heard about some Adani projects coming up in West Bengal. Now, what happens to those projects?
There was only one project, an expression of interest, if any, in a small harbor, a small port. Why should I use the word harbor? A port. West Bengal doesn't have any minor ports, so to say. Its coastline is dominated by the Kolkata and Haldia ports, which are actually, the one is the inland one, the other is the outland one of the same river and the same estuary. Now, beyond that, we have been thinking of a port because the Bhagirathi tends to get over-silted. And this has been going on for the last 50, 60 years. And one of the options that we have is Tajpur. Now, Tajpur, we have worked out with the government of India. We've tried everything. But since the government of India is not coming in for it, we decided that any private operator with experience. So there's no doubt that the Adani Group is a private operator with experience in ports. It may not have it in airports.
No, but politics is all about perception. And why should we as journalists not ask Trinamool Congress that if there are big headlines saying Adani bhrasht hai, Adani ne ye galat kiya, Adani ne wo galat kiya, you know, these are the kind of headlines that Adani is corrupt, his methodology or the manner of operations, that's not very clean, it doesn't look clean. So you can simply say no to that. Why can't Mamata Banerjee say no to that project? And completely jump it.
We spent 20 to 30 years. Who would come and do it? Number one. And it's still open to anyone who's not brushed. It's still open to it. There's no side deal. It's only an expression of interest. That's all. No great investment has been made. No great things have been sunk in. Nothing of the sort. No land acquisition has taken place. Nothing of it has taken place. It's a question, as you said, it's a question of impression. If you drink water under a palm tree, people will think something else. So these impressions matter. But we are desperate about the port that if you can bring in anyone, do let me know. Let me know.
But you aren't worried if people will raise questions later on that, okay, welcome Adani in West Bengal, but what happens if later on people start saying that, you know, the dealing doesn't look very clean?
Now the question of his being totally, you see, he was under suspicion. And now there is no scope for suspicion. He was known for his proximity to Modi. Now we know they are interchangeable. Which button you are pressing, you don't know until sort of which face pops up. The relationship is much more integrated in political and economic terms than India has ever seen before.
So now, if that is a realization within TMC, you are saying that the relationship is much deeper, then aren't you pressing a more dangerous button by welcoming Adani in your own state then? If Modi and Adani are the same. Modi and Adani are the same, aren't you
Now,
pressing a wrong button then?
it's a realization that has come out. It's only in this year that the whole thing has come out public. Prior to that, we thought he's a stinking rich fellow who's got some favors. That was the level up to which we had left. Now that we know that there have been so many marquee ins and goings out, it is best not that we don't take him in. That's all. He never got in. He left his visitor's card, and that was good enough for asking 1,000 questions. He just left his visitor's card.
Okay, so the deal hasn't happened. You're saying the deal hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened.
And you still have the choice. You still have the choice of rejecting Adani, right?
Yeah, we have a choice of not even accepting, whichever way you put it.
So what's going to be the final thing? Now knowing that, the kind of relationship with Modi and Adani have, your larger agenda, of course, you in this interview said that is to oppose Modi. So what will happen now? I'm talking about the political standing of the party. Will you oppose? Will you reject Adani?
You see, let's put it like that. Ambanis are known to be close to Modi. Now, which state has rejected Ambani? Ask yourself, which state has rejected Ambani? So there's a question of business and the question of issuing character certificates. Okay, headmasters do one, heads of government do something else.
No, but when you have business interests, Mr. Sircar, when you have business interests, the party can also become subservient, to the whims and the fancies and the moods of the central government. As you say that Modi and Adani are the same. Won't that make you subservient?
Yes. We would guard against any such even wild possibility if it ever happens in ever future. You see, the fact is Adani is there in every state. In every state. He's got what is called a fishing expedition in every state. part of his thing and part of us as an insurance policy. So he has his business style, which is quite completely unorthodox. The states have their necessity, which are quite orthodox. And when the two graphs don't meet, they quit. That's it.
Right. Okay, so I'll leave this bit on Adani, but obviously I'm going to ask you one question, which we have been observing on Trinamool Congress for the last 1.5 years since the time the vice president and the president elections took place. There was a perception, and I'm just using the word perception because there was a feeling that Mamata Banerjee or Trinamool Congress somewhere down the line are veering towards BJP. Veering is a lighter term, or rather, in a way, surrendering, Why was this feeling?
Mamata Banerjee will never veer to the BJP. So make it very clear, get it on straight in. She will never veer to the BJP. The question of not joining a BJP coalition or not joining a BJP thing is one thing. It's a question of strategy for the moment. That's one thing. She will never join the BJP, and the BJP will never join her, because the two are at doggers drawn much more than any other two parties. So that should become very clear. A narrative and a counter narrative was set loose with some amount of evidence that if she hasn't voted for now she felt very hurt when the vice president was selected in one drop by a political party and said, all of you come and vote. All of you come and vote. This is exactly what happened in the vice president's election. X was decided and everyone was told to come and vote. Well, others decided politically to, okay, it's better than we'll sort it out with them.
If the larger opposition unity was in mind since that time, then this was just a very trivial reason. I mean, Mamata Banerjee could have just said yes.
The larger opposition unity is not the cross that only one party has to carry.
Right.
Remember, the larger opposition unity is not a cross that only one party has to carry over to the hill. It is open to the major parties or major party to take a call before it makes an impetuous decision or a notification. We
Right.
must realize that the capacity to articulate a grievance is not necessarily a statement in opposition.
Hmm.
You must be democratic enough to realize. So these are there.
Right. Okay, so one last question, Mr. Sarkar, that where are we, do you see this Rahul's disqualification as some kind of a turning point in Indian politics just before 2024? And if I may ask you very bluntly, do you believe that Rahul could turn into some kind of a bigger hero from here on?
The assessment we leave after marination. The immediate, a plum is a plum. So you treat it at the plum value.
Right.
Whether plum choice or a plum, you leave it at the plum value. What
Right.
it turns after marination is what time alone can say. But frankly, in cricketing terms, it was a completely stupid thing to do this. And this sort of thing comes out of hubris. But more than hubris, it comes out of a sheer sense of panic. It is that panic button that has come out all over. That is another indication, reading. You know, in politics, an autocrat will not carry a sticker on his head, I am on panic mode. You'll have to take out from his thing that he's on complete panic mode. Complete panic mode. And then you surmise that his panic arises from the fact that somebody has got to the roots. You know, in every state of India, there's a folk tale that the demon's heart is not in the demon. It lies in a bird. And the bird is in a cage.
Right.
And the cage is in a castle. These stories we have heard. So we are finally getting to the cage.
Right. If you're finally getting to the cage, but you believe that 2024 is not going to be a walkover for Narendra Modi and BJP.
It may be a walkover for the opposition. You never know. The way things turn. I have been very much part of the 1977 election when it was supposed to be a walkover for Indira Gandhi. I was an assistant returning officer. And people were saying, why are we going through the formality? When the formality results came out, I saw what the people are capable of.
No, but so a lot of it, you were saying that it could be a walkover for the opposition.
That's a long time ago.
I know, but since you're saying that this 2024 could be a walkover for the opposition, but does the opposition have the organizational strength, the money, the muscle power, the social media power to amplify all what you are building the narrative on?
What of these powers did the AAP have when immediately after the 2014 elections it happened? How much of this did Trinamool have when 2 years ago it was fighting almost a battle to the death against so many superior forces?
Right.
So you have to realize that it's not only the willpower to go on fighting and the cause and the narrative, but there are what we call the blessings of the people.
Right. But
that
we were also right. But Mr. Sarkar, we also saw Mamata Banerjee working on a non-Congress, non-BJP front, where she had a meeting with DRS, then she had a meeting with the Aam Aadmi Party, then she went to meet Naveen Patnaik, then she had a meeting with HD Kumaraswamy. Now, what is going to happen on that front? Are those efforts going to bear some fruits, or everything has got diluted now because of Rahul's disqualification?
I'm not aware of any front, and understanding a cup of tea is only to gauge the other. Nitish Kumar has done it. TRS has done it. So everyone tries to...
No, but optics does matter in politics, and having a cup of tea.
She has a longer experience in Delhi from 1984, unbroken, up to 2011. Right. So many years in Delhi's politics, so many years in the state, she has her own way of feeling around what's going on. That's all. she never came out and said, we are organizing a front.
Right.
He expressed her preferences up to a point to see whether others picked up. And it goes on. I mean, there is no finality.
But no leader in politics does say that. It's all the optics which matter. The optics, the headlines are made accordingly. It's for people to judge how it's happening. It's all about dynamics.
But that Mr. Nitish Kumar went in. Mr. Naveen Patnaik would much rather have people come to him. He's not the type to go out much of it. So there are others who have gone out and said, gone out and tried to gauge the unity of the opposition.
Okay.
So she's also done it.
Right. But my last question to you is that Didi won't be on an Ekla Chalo Re model now for 2024, which looks very clear from what is happening now.
Depends on how much respect
Okay.
they give her.
So respect, what does it mean? Respect means seat sharing arrangement, her preferences, her likings.
Convert itself on the immediate issue at hand. When the vice president's election came, the immediate issue was who would be the nominee. When the president's issue came up, again the question was who would be the nominee. So there are issues like that. If you feel hurt, you have a right to express.
Then I would say that the relationship, I would say, is still uneasy between Trinamool and Congress, despite the fact that you all have come together.
Let's put it like this. It's very easy. Don't ruffle.
Very easy, don't ruffle. So on that note, I'll have to take your leave. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview with Jawhar Sircar, send us your feedback, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you. Thank you. It was wonderful having you on the program, Mr. Sircar. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.